Mama podcast.
Hey.
Y'all, thank you so much for tuning in this evening to Sexy Mama's podcast. I'm your host. I'm your girl, Coco Laud, and I always have the most amazing guest on the show. Kim is nothing short of amazing, and I'm so thankful that you're here.
Thank you.
I really am. Oh I want to give you a hug.
Hello. Yes, I love hugs. I'm a hugger. Hey.
Y'all, this show has been such an outlet for women in general that I just want to show love. Kim, man, you are a definition of a sexy mama. And for everybody who is tuning in right now, Sexy Mama's podcast is about taking the time to pour into yourself so that you have something to pour into others. I always tell people, do you meditate? Do you exercise? Do you pray? Do you try to eat right? Are you the first one in your household to graduate high school? Now you're in college and you're trying to help educate your community. That should be considered sexy. If you a single mother and you got 2 jobs, you're holding it down, your kids don't never miss a meal, that should be considered sexy. If you got trauma that you know that you have and that you're dealing with it by talking to a qualified individual, be it God or somebody who's licensed, like that should be considered sexy. So Kim, man, thank you so much for coming on Sexy Mama's podcast. Y'all, the guests that I have, they be hitting, okay? And I know them personally. Y'all, Kim was my neighbor.
Hello. This is my neighbor, my almost birthday twin. We couple days apart, so we resonate on that energy that we have. Yes.
Y'all, my neighbor, okay? I just want to say that. I'm like, I'm not just pulling them out of thin air. When I told you when I thought about Sexy Mama, I was like, I looked around at everybody that I knew. And I seen things that I'm like, that's sexy. And I wanted to give a platform to people because it's like, these stories need to be shared. They absolutely need to be shared. So again, from the bottom of my heart, I'm so thankful that you are here. Let's get into it.
All right.
Okay, I don't even know where to start because we have so many amazing things to touch on. But let's just talk about where you're from, where your family is from originally, because there's some things going on with, DEI and, immigration and everything else like that. So where's your family from? But I know that you were born here.
I was born here.
So let's, for the record,
born and raised, born in the Bronx, South Bronx.
Okay, don't be trying to come.
Okay.
Born here. Citizen.
Yes.
Okay, but it's not that far removed, right?
Yes.
So how does, with what's going on right now, with people getting deported and everything, like being first generation, like how does that make you feel?
It's a tough thing to see because I think about that, right? My parents are from Trinidad.
Okay.
Trinidad and
Tobago.
And
shout out to the
islands, Trinidad and Tobago. And my family's from New York originally. Mm-hmm. So been here in Georgia for almost 20 years now. But you can take the girl out of New York, but you can't take New York out the girl.
She's from the Bronx.
South Bronx. So yeah. It's tough because hearing that birthright citizenship is something that has been taken away, it just seems insane to me because being a first generation American, I know that when I was born, my parents were not citizens. Yeah. So what does that mean?
Did they ever get their citizenship, by the way?
They did become citizens, yes.
What was that process like back then? Well, like how long did it take?
So I think and I don't think that my siblings and I were the ones that sponsored my parents, but back then, if you had a child that was born here, that could be the thing that sponsored you to be able to get your citizenship.
Okay.
My parents got their citizenship around the 80s. Again, like I said, I don't remember exactly when
what that process
took that
was
away.
Yeah.
I was still a child then. In the 80s, I probably was about 10 or 12 when they became citizens. So like I said, it could have been that they got in right before they appealed where like the children, or not appealed, but repealed, I should probably say, where children could like sponsor the parents. Like if you were from another country and you had a child here, that child could then help you like be your path to citizenship. They took that away. I'm assuming sometime probably.
So, but I imagine though that they were excited to become citizens.
Oh, it was very exciting. It was. I can remember when my parents became citizens. It was a very exciting time. And for anybody that is, you know,
that's where I was going with this.
Now,
right.
Yeah.
That's where I was going with this because it's probably very frustrating to a lot of people who are excited to become citizens here. And that same excitement is not shown from the other side. And so that's why I wanted to ask you. I'm like, I'm sure they're excited. So
it's tough because America is the home of the free, the land of the brave. Nobody is from here, like other than the indigenous people, the Native Americans.
Yeah.
So everyone's from someplace else. And
correct.
To just say now,
to try to pick and choose.
Yeah, it's
Pandora's box.
It is. And it does not bode well with me. I don't really delve too deeply into politics, but that's something that doesn't really feel well. It doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
And I understand like people's concerns. I mean, it's just concerning, and
rightfully so.
Yeah, rightfully so.
And like I said, it's like because America typically in the past has always been that shining light. I mean, that's what the Statue of Liberty is about, right?
Exactly.
To welcome.
Yes. Like again,
because what was it? It was like life and liberty for all. That's what it stood for.
And the home of the brave, the land of the free, the home of the brave.
Yeah,
people are coming here literally in pursuit of the American dream,
in pursuit of happiness.
Always, it has always been, and so it's a tough thing to see.
It's a tough time for a lot of people. So we don't want to ignore what people are currently going through, and we just pray them well.
Yes. I wish everyone well, and we hear a lot of the horror stories. I don't know. I haven't experienced that myself. I'm going to Trinidad in a couple of weeks.
What, girl? What?
I'm hoping that everything is on the up. I have my passport again.
No, I'm
born and raised here, but again, I've heard other people saying, "Oh, I don't know whether these are people with their green cards or some other stories, but there's just a lot of stories that you're hearing right now." I can't.
I would say to block out the noise.
The validity of them. But
I would say block out that noise.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't even say this phrase without the cuss word in it, so I just won't go there. But opinion. Everybody has an opinion. Mm. That doesn't make it right. Exactly. But everybody has one. Okay, they're free to their opinion. Yeah. So you said born in South Bronx. Now, is it your only child? You have siblings?
I am not an only child. I am one of 8 children.
One of 8?
One of 8.
Did you know that I was one of 7?
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yes, my mom had 6 girls and 1 boy. Wow. My brother is unfortunately no longer here. Oh, sorry. It was thank you. It was a situation based off of how he ate, which is why my passion is to teach people how to eat to live.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's something that my dad always used to tell us growing up. It was, we eat to live. We don't live to eat. Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah.
So, okay. 8 kids.
8 kids. Yes.
Okay. So tell me about this, because when you told me this, y'all, I just want to share this story really quick. So we're neighbors. When I say this, we living across the street, literally directly across the street from each other here in Atlanta. And she's like, yeah, I used to be in the entertainment industry, or I still am, I dibble and dabble, I have this party supply business. And I was like, that's what's up. And I was like, oh, what did you do in the entertainment business? And she was like, oh, yeah, my brothers used to be in this little group. Maybe you heard of them, maybe not. Now, I know, a lot of, I don't know them personally, but I grew up listening to music. I love music. And so when she said, maybe you know, maybe you don't, and it made me like hesitant, like, man, maybe I don't. Maybe I don't know them.
Maybe I don't. Some people don't.
Well, you know what? Okay. That's a beautiful place to come from. Yes. Than to just assume like, oh my gosh, everybody knows who my brother is. Like that's a very humble place to come from. Yeah, and but when you said that, it made me be like, oh man, maybe I don't know who they are. Okay, do you want me to finish telling the story? Or you want to tell?
Yeah, you tell it.
Okay, I'm like, I don't know if she wants to say who her brothers are. She wants me to tell the story. But basically, she's like, yeah, my brothers are so for real. I'm like, right. I started singing, my island, do you ever dream of. Y'all, so for real, are you so serious?
Yes. Okay. So see, that's
literally. I remember going to the skating ring, dancing to their songs.
Love it.
To Candy Rain and everything. So you're like, maybe you know, maybe you don't.
There are. Of
course I know who they are.
You know what? People of our generation, yes, people know them, but there are, I guess, the younger kids. Well,
my kids know who they are. They know Candy Rain.
Everybody nowadays is coming back around, I think.
Yeah.
And shout out to Soul For Real because they are celebrating 30 years this year. So more to come on that. You will hear more as we, I guess, wrap up and talk about things that I'm got going on right now. But shout out to Soul For Real, for real. 30 years. 30 years.
30 years. Shout out to them for 30 years. That's a long time.
Yeah.
Man, it's like the theme songs to like my childhood and stuff like that. I have a lot of good memories listening to their music.
Yeah.
How did they get started?
So again, we grew up singing in church, coming from a faith that is probably a little known faith, but it's probably more known in the islands. So spiritual Baptist faith, very kind of, what can I say? Primitive type of faith. It's not like music. The music is just your voice. Your voice is your instrument. And drums, like African drums, bongo drums. And that's really it.
And that's it. Were they against like horns and everything else, or they just didn't have it?
Not against it. Just
didn't have it. Okay, got it.
No. And so that's something even, hopefully we will be able to do. It's like showcase, where they'll be doing, my brothers will probably be doing some of the hymns and like the music that we grew up singing in church, kind of modernizing it and putting it to music.
Yeah.
That's kind of one of the goals. And I think something, that you'll hear more of in this 30-year anniversary, because people don't realize, like, to even make it 30 years in the entertainment business is a huge accomplishment.
It is.
So talk about overcomer, talk about the things, that's what has kept us.
So they were singing in church, and then what happened?
That we were singing in church. That was our start. Then they had a unique sound. So I would say circa 1990s, early 1990s.
Yeah.
My brother Brian, he worked at a McDonald's where, the oldest of the group, his name is Chris, but he goes by Chalk. He has always wanted to sing. He's a year older than me. We went to high school, like in high school together.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where teachers were like, it's kind of like the Biggie song, give up on your dreams, get a job, like that sort of thing. So when they made it, it was like, it was a big deal. Like,
it is a big deal.
But there wasn't that support for that. But he's always wanted to do that. So fast forward, I'm sorry. Hopefully I messed with the mic.
No, you're fine.
Fast forward, like the brothers they formed a group.
Yeah.
Brian, second youngest in the group, working at McDonald's, singing. His manager heard him singing. He decided, he liked the sound.
Yeah.
He found out about the rest of the group. He decided he was going to manage them, and he started taking them around. They went around to they would like literally back in the days how you like maybe when Diddy show, like they used to show people like how they used to try to get record deals.
Yeah.
They were like going around to record companies singing, auditioning right then and there. They met someone who was connected to Heavy D. Rest in peace, Heavy D.
Yeah.
But Heavy D is who put them on eventually. But yeah, that was the early part of my life, early 20s. And I actually used to manage them.
What?
Yes, I started out as their road manager and then their manager.
Yeah.
And so we've been through that. Just there's so much to talk about just in that segment alone.
Yeah.
But talk about overcoming. We came, like I said, my parents were from Trinidad. We did not grow up rich at all. We came from very humble beginnings, modest means, and so literally at one time homeless. And so it was like a rags to riches story when they became Soul For Real.
Who came up with the name? I'm just curious.
Heavy D.
Did he?
Yes, Heavy D's changed the name of the group. The name of the group used to be, and I don't know if they want me to say this, but the name of the group used to be Da Fizz, which is really weird name. But Da Fizz stood for D-A, which is the first two letters of our last name, Dalrymple. And then Fizz was like physical. They're all brothers.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then, they had this little, which they all are kind of hip hop, was hip hop and R&B was like, they had a very boy next door image, but they they did love like the hip hop side of things. So they had like little twists and things in the hair, but Heavy D changed that image, and they had like the blowouts and the afros and the boy next door look.
No, and then even to have them dressing similar, and they were just smooth with it.
Yeah.
And it was just really cool. And so, man, that's amazing. Everybody can't go. They can't be like, hey, my brother's running this super group.
Well, music was everything to us. Not only growing up in church singing, but Michael Jackson, like the radio. Just we loved music.
I felt like the younger one, and I felt like the younger one kind of was like the Michael of the group.
He was,
right?
Yeah, they exploited that because we did. We loved the Jacksons, and we loved Michael Jackson as well. So, and Jason, he was literally like born singing. He could sing like an angel from a very young.
He seemed like he was young. Now, the youngest one, like, how old was he when they hit? Yeah, at the time.
He was, I think, 13.
Oh, my gosh. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow. 13 until what? Was the oldest?
The oldest was, gosh, I don't, probably early 20s, but I don't remember specifically. Chalk is not quite 10 years older than Jace. He's 9 years older than Jace. So 13 and so he probably was about 21.
Yeah. Wow.
So somewhere in there. Did I do math right?
Yeah, you did.
No, I don't know.
She did it, y'all. She did it. Wow. That's again that
22.
How was it when like being their manager and seeing your brothers on the road, knowing that they love to sing, knowing that, where you guys came from, like
well, it's a big part of what has made me who I am today, but it was tough at the time because I was so young. I was in my early 20s.
Yeah.
And I didn't necessarily, I don't think, get the respect that I deserved at the time. I've always been very emotional too. And so, of course, seeing some of the things that they went through, some of the tougher things that they went through, experienced as a group, it was tough for me, but it was also amazing. And again, a huge part of what has made me into who I am today. Really learned a lot. I learned a lot hands-on.
A lot about business, a lot everything. About the industry. Yeah, man, that industry right now is looking pretty interesting.
Yeah.
it's looking pretty interesting. And I miss the days of when it seemed like there was, when they say like TV magic.
Oh yeah,
it seemed like that you guys came up right in that right time where it was still that talent could beat out maybe name recognition or maybe somebody who the industry created.
Yeah, I think
right.
Yeah,
and I feel like you guys were still in that when it was like they're talented, so they deserve to be there versus okay, my child who was born with a silver spoon in their mouth wants to be the singer, so I'm going to put them through some kind of training camp.
Well, you learn very quickly that talent, you could be talented, but you learn about this machine, and there are millions of talented people out there are not going to see the light of day. Because
how does that make you feel?
Again, that's tough, but with the advent of the internet now, there's still a chance, but there's still a machine. Like there's still a machine that people aren't aware of, but at least we do have the ability now with the internet
to go around it. Yeah, I think that's happening in the entertainment industry as well. I think with what you guys were seeing and, people trying to avoid casting couches or trying to avoid somebody being able to have complete power to make or break them. And then to be able to go over to like Twitch or YouTube. I mean, now TikTok, Instagram, everything else like that to kind of go around and come up independent. I mean, Kendrick Lamar just swooped up how many Grammys? 5 or 6?
Yeah, no.
And, independent artists. So for everybody out there who is just like, I have this talent, whether it's singing or dancing or acting or whatever it is, right? Everybody was born with a talent.
Absolutely.
To know that you need to display that talent. Don't just hide it.
Exactly.
Don't
keep bury your gifts. Yeah.
Don't keep it to yourself. Yeah. Share it. There's a reason why that you have it. I wanted to get a little bit more about just when you had talked about, I wanted to make sure that we talk about everything, y'all. So I'm looking at some notes right here. You talked about your parents.
Yeah.
And how they came here, and I'm sure they're up in age now.
No, they're not with us.
They're no longer with us. But you had told me that you were their caregiver.
Yes. Yes.
For a while. Mm-hmm. I want you to share what that was like, because we kind of talked a little bit about it before we went live, but it's really important out here because it's full circle. It's like it's your parents, and everybody doesn't have the strength to be a caregiver. Yeah. And if you don't have the strength to do it, please don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it, because it's not, I think it's going to be more stress on you, which is going to make it more stressful on them. It just doesn't make sense.
Well, it was tough. I'll admit, like,
yeah, we're not saying it's not tough. I'm saying you were the right person.
Exactly. And, so for me, in my story, is like I never really ever left home. I was a young mom, single mom. And so thankfully I had my community, I had my village, right? Yeah. My parents and my family helped me raise my kids when I was a young, teenage mom. And in my 20s, when I was managing my brothers, my kids were at home. Like my parents were helping with my kids. Yeah. But it's when you see your parents who took care of you get to a point where they need help and they can't necessarily take care of themselves and start to not be able to take care of themselves anymore. One, it's tough. Like you can't really reconcile that in your mind. You're like, why? Like you want them to dig in and be able to just still do everything. Like you just can't even, there's so much that you have to like come to terms with. Yeah. And so for me, I was going through all of that, and then it's just difficult. Like there's a reason why we potty train our babies and start, so now, when you're having to start like doing potty changes and stuff on your parents, like it's just, that's a very tough thing. Yeah. Not for everyone. And so I did, I took care of my parents both until, their dying day. And so it's an honor and a privilege, but I can tell you there were days that it was so tough and it was really tiring. Yeah. It's just not, I don't think that it's, because my parents are from the islands, maybe I felt more of an obligation to, and then they also helped me. So like, I don't know, like what people think about, like to do really.
Well, I'm glad that you have brought that up, saying, being from the islands. And I do feel like other cultures or countries take up that responsibility.
Yes. I feel like it's more that like other cultures do. It's more like embraced in other cultures than it is in I hate to say American because I'm American, but
but in the U.S.
In the U.S.
And I'm not saying that cultures and communities within the U.S. don't do that. We're just seeming like in other countries there may not be a home that you could take senior care living or anything else.
It's like it's not a thing. They don't I even have an associate in Africa, in Ghana, and like it's just not a thing there. Yeah. It's maybe people are starting to become more of a thing because as the world grows and evolves, like
it's kind of following the Western world.
Yes, it is.
So
that's something that they probably you'll start to see more of in other places, and like you say, in other cultures, because it is, and it's not an easy thing. No. And so
it definitely takes strength to do that. To get up every day and to be able to be, it's mentally draining, I'm sure, emotionally, physically, because trying to lift somebody, my background, I was in nursing school for 3.5 years. Oh, wow. And so I know a lot of people are like, why would you leave halfway through your last semester? Well, there's a good reason for that. She was like, what is it?
Like, what is
it? Share.
Yes.
Well, the reason for me was I just didn't feel like that's what I was supposed to be doing.
People used to always tell me, I think because like we do have as a fellow cancer, I think you could say like that nurturing spirit or whatever. Yeah. But people used to say, oh, you should get into nursing. I've never ever wanted to be a nurse. I never felt like I could be a nurse because one, I would be probably too connected to my patient. It would be too emotionally draining for me. I'm an empath, so I just never wanted to do it. I will say, once I started, the toughest part about being a caregiver to my parents was once I stopped resisting, and started embracing it, and then going through the loss and the grief, like, it's like, gosh, I started really enjoying like helping them because I know all that they did for me. And then, to lose them, it was tough. It's like I had to go through a period of not feeling now what's my sense of purpose. Like, once I had nothing else to do, it was a tough and
and I'm really glad that you brought that part up, because I think that a lot of people we don't see that side of it.
Yeah.
We just see, okay, you took care of your parents, that was noble of you, and then call it a day.
Yeah.
But you're saying, like, because you're an empath and because it gave you really something to look forward to every day of it was an honor and a privilege is what I'm hearing.
Absolutely.
To take care of your parents the way that they cared and lived for you and your child. Mm-hmm. And then when they're gone, you're like, man, like, but that was a great way to honor them. That was a great way to show them how much you cared, how much you appreciate, how much you love them. It was a beautiful display. So please don't ever overlook.
Thank you.
It's a selfless act. And I know that because, my husband's mom had Alzheimer's dementia very, very early. Mm. She was 60, and they said that her brain looked like an 80-year-old.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
And so it was very rapid and fast moving. And so, I seen what that looked like. And to watch her just drop all this weight, and to see where she's just sitting and so I understand. And that's why I'm telling you from a place of like, I get it.
Yeah. And so, my mom, she didn't have a dementia. I mean, she didn't have an Alzheimer's diagnosis, but she did have dementia. Mm-hmm. She had that matter, that gray or white matter in the brain. And to just see them losing kind of the faculties and just, my mom was so bright. She had diabetes, high blood pressure. She was on dialysis. So she didn't have the best quality of life at the end.
Yeah.
And she wasn't, to me, like, my mom was 74. Mm-hmm. So she wasn't super old. I don't feel like that's not, my dad, was 95. Mm-hmm. So we all thought my dad was, I just wasn't expecting, although he lived almost 100 years, he always told us all our life he had a contract with God, and so he was going to live 100 years. So I think we all expected him to really just live 100 years. So I thought I had 5 more years with my dad. It's tough. It's tough living without them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But I mean that, just to let you know, it's a, man, what a way to honor them. It's real. Like, I mean, like you don't have any regrets.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes people they feel I wish I could have did more, but it's like you got the opportunity.
Well, I feel like, even though I still feel like I do have some regrets in the sense that I wish that, like, in a sense of my dad, I was caring for him. I remember when he died, the day he died, it's been 3 years now, but I was not feeling well, but I felt guilt that like I wasn't there with him the moment, of his last breath. It's like, and
it might be your guilt and he probably didn't feel that way, but it was just,
no, I'm sure he didn't.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm sure, I know that they appreciated it because they would tell me. And I think that's what started making it, easier for me to embrace it. And it just, in life, there are just things I've been on, self-improvement for as long as I can remember. Mm-hmm. I was on Iyanla Vanzant before Iyanla was fixing people's lives. And so when we moved, I found all my like Iyanla books from back in the days. And they say what you resist persists. So when I was like resisting that role of being a caregiver, it was very hard. But once I started to embrace it, it just became so much easier. And
well, let's talk about that, because you had mentioned about how it was kind of difficult for you to go through, and so you actually started seeing a therapist.
I did.
Right?
I did.
And so you did what a lot of people don't do, which is you actually this is a good thing.
It's
you made sure that person was a good fit for you.
Yes, I did.
Talk about what made you decide that the first two weren't it. And I don't mean by telling me like, oh, they would say these things or whatever. I just mean like, how did you know that you needed to keep looking? Because I think a lot of people just, get whatever one insurance will cover or whatever, and then they'll just assume like that's it. But again, you took the time to make sure they were a right fit for you.
Yes, I did. I think it was because, like I said, I've just been on that journey of self-improvement for a long time. And so when I was dealing with difficult things, I felt like, I know this is kind of taboo, especially amongst our Black community and everything like that, like therapy and things like that. People think that you can just pray it away or talk to your, community around you. But I did want to pursue just help for myself. It's okay to be not okay.
Oh my gosh, right.
And really, I started in therapy when my sister passed, because my sister died suddenly at the age of 35, and she died 2 days after Christmas of December 27th of 2013.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. And that was really the first loss that we ever experienced in my life. Like, to grow up all your life and never, lost friends and stuff along, but never lost a family member. So didn't know what it was. And so that was the first time I sought therapy, because I had a decent job and it was covered, and they were covering it because it was like a sudden loss for the family and everything. They offered everybody in my family therapy.
Oh, wow.
No one else really took up on, what seemed interested. And I did, but to your point, your question was, how did I find the right one? I was recommended to somebody. I met with that person. I felt no connection at all. I was like, I knew this. I was not, if it was going to be that person, there would be no therapy.
Yeah.
And so I kept looking, and I found another person, and she was okay. I felt like, the job paid for whatever, the 8 sessions or whatever, and then you can continue on.
Yeah.
And so I was with her for a while, and she gave me some okay recommendations. I wouldn't say she wasn't a fit. Like, it was just some okay recommendations,
I'm sorry, she gave me some okay ones. But I mean, but the good news is that you're being honest. With yourself, you're gonna be like, it was just okay. Yeah. And that's okay. So I'm just gonna keep on looking.
Right. She gave me a book. I got the book. There was things in the book that I was like, okay, this is okay. But when it came time, so that was when my sister died. Then my grandmother passed, and I needed to go back. I was like, okay, this grief, again, that was the second time that I'm experiencing grief, and I'm in my 40s at this time. So never really, again, have had friends or people semi-close, but not a family member. So didn't really know how to handle it. And so after my grandmother died and my mom passed a couple years later, so it was like a few that seeming like back to back, really. And they weren't so back to back. So from 2013 into 2019, and then my mom was 2021 and my dad was 2022. So those two were really back to back, 6 months apart. Yeah. But with the therapy, I just knew that I needed to start again, like when I was going through that grief. Yeah. And the last time I said, okay, I needed to find somebody that was faith-based. And maybe somebody even that looked like me. Yeah. And that's what I did. And it was a connection. I went through that process, and some people, like you said, won't do that. They will not, take the time. They just don't even think that therapy is something that they need. And
even if they do go and get the therapy, they don't know what they could do within that therapy. So they just think, okay, well, this is what this therapist says, and so this is what I'm going to go with. And instead of when you're like, okay, well, there was no connection. Yeah. So that's when you continue to keep looking until there was right fit. And finding a therapist might be kind of like a job, in the sense to where, when I say it from a sense of where it's like, when you're first starting out and you're just happy to have a job, right? But then as you get more experience underneath your belt and everything else like that, that interview is not just for that person who's offering the job. That's if you ain't over here asking questions, trying to find out the culture, see if you even want to work there. So I'm telling you, some of those cultures and some of those jobs, all money ain't good money.
Okay. You are preaching right now. I'm an certified HR professional. So, yes.
I just want to put that out there and say, if you better be interviewing them too. When they say, do you have any questions, you better be actually, and pull out a notebook.
What does a day in the life of really look like?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You better understand.
Know what you're signing up
for. They will pull the wool over your eyes, and next thing you know, you looking around like, how did I get here?
Got sold a bill of goods. It happens.
Probably more often than not, actually.
Again, certified HR professional. It happens.
Probably more often than not. Look, and that's why I said, talking to a qualified person is really important. So It's a really good thing. Like you just keep showing me all these amazing like habits and characteristics that you have of making sure that, you know, you're like, okay, when this person passed, like I needed it. And then when this person passed, I needed it. And being able to recognize when you need it. And that's what I mean when I say taking the time to pour into yourself.
I was
that self-love.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say that. And I've had one time a pastor demonstrate like this beautiful demonstration of that, where she had like a picture and she showed that, you know, if you're empty, you cannot, in all your responsibilities, you can't pour into anyone. And so, you know, and what are the things that you do to pour into yourself? So one of the things that my faith-based therapist, she would give me assignments. She would challenge me. And that's why I said the other one, I said, oh, it was just okay. She gave me, and not that her recommendations were bad in any way. It just wasn't a good fit for you. So this one, I felt like she challenged me. And one of the things, I'm a natural problem solver. Yeah. So things that we worked on together was understanding that just because I can solve problems doesn't mean I have to solve every problem.
I'm gonna tell you like Cat Williams, just because you can do it, should you do it?
Exactly. Like, what was your word to your friend? If it makes sense to you.
If it makes sense to you. Shout out to Kim over here, because clearly she watched the first episode.
Did, and I was like, I'm on there. I'm in it.
I'm just saying, like, you know, it's funny because that was Shay who was on the first episode, and if you have not seen it, go back and watch it.
Yeah. She was good.
Shay had to come around and do a part 2, but she also was like, I watched episode, she said, I watched your next guest, and your next guest's story was just so inspirational. And I just be like, just the love that's being shown between the women that's been on this podcast so far. It's a beautiful thing, and it's real. And I think that's what makes this podcast different, is like we're talking to real people whose stories deserve real platforms that could really reach real people. Yes. That's really what it's about. It's this is not a selfish thing. This is a way to just show love to women of color, and that your stories have value, and you are helping somebody.
Thank you. And I'm so honored, for real. Thank you for having me on. And just to wrap up that therapy conversation, I will share one thing that my therapist, like I said, she would give me assignments and she challenged me. And one of the things was she had me, first of all, she helped me get to a place where I can take a break and not have to solve everything. Yeah. Because I think we all get caught in that trap. We want to just fix everything. Yeah. Well, we've had to.
Yeah, I mean, and then you have to. There are some things that, because it's out of your control.
Yeah. You can't take.
You just gonna have your brain working overtime, and they ain't never gonna be able to do it. And that's how I am sometimes. And I had to learn to step away. Like right now, I ain't trying to watch the news.
Oh no.
I'm just saying.
If you want to keep your spirit right and together, you don't stay out of there. But no, she had me give myself some grace, learn to give myself grace. And she had me name my day. She said, give yourself a grace day and name the day. And so I called it my Escape the Cape day. Yeah. And escape, like cape is in the word escape. So I had to just, and not like, you're not just gonna be depressed and like don't do nothing for a whole week. But
no, you're just saying ain't my problem.
Yeah. On today, this is my grace day. This is my escape day. I'm gonna escape the Cape today, and I don't need to save everybody. I don't need to save nobody.
Don't save her. She don't want to be saved. I'm just saying, but I think that's really, really cool, because you know we've seen 92% of Black women show up, stroll to the polls.
Oh yeah. Oh.
And for real, and they went and voted Democrat, Kamala. And as things went left, you know, people were calling for Black women to be like, this ain't your fight. You so take that day. And so that's what that reminds me of when you're saying, like, escape the Cape. You're like, this is going to happen. I'm not stepping in. I'm giving myself grace to just relieve myself. I'm like, I'm not doing this. Yeah, you're not doing this. And that's a beautiful thing. With the last few minutes, can you just talk about your business? Are you still doing the party business?
I am. I'm doing party business. We have, the party business there's been more of a shift because I purchased a travel agency under the party business. So Spark Entertainment purchased a cruise planners franchise. Yes. And so we want to do, we're curating events, destination events, and we're still doing parties and stuff.
I hope she still be doing the parties because, first of all, her hubby, he's a bomb DJ. Okay, yes. He's amazing.
Holler if y'all need these services. But also, we're doing not travel. We can help anybody travel wise. Yeah. But what we're doing is really creating experiences. And so that is the primary focus. But also, again, with the 30th anniversary of Soul for Real, we kind of got some things coming up there.
Well, okay, well, please share.
I will certainly. I don't have much to share at the moment, but it's all in the works. Absolutely.
When you do, I would love to know, to be able to update my audience.
Absolutely.
How can people get in touch with you, whether it's just to shout out to you to say your story was inspirational, amazing, or somebody who wants to, connect with you underneath your businesses? What are your social media platforms?
My social media handles, the Katie Babe. Oh gosh, don't get me the line. Yeah. So.
Okay, if you don't know, I can link it below.
Sorry. You know what it is? I got hacked. I probably gave y'all my original. This is going back a few years ago. But I think I gave y'all my original one that was hacked. So we're gonna link the right.
We'll link it. We'll link it to make sure that for anybody who wants to get in touch with her, my God. You could do that.
But yeah, Trips with Gigi is my IG for the travel business, and Gigi because my grandkids call me Gigi.
So. Okay, spell Gigi. Is it G-I?
G-I-G-I.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Yeah. That's how I would have spelled it, but I don't want nobody trying to look up G-E-E. I don't know.
It's G-I-G-I.
That's why.
Gigi is the IG handle for the travel business, and then Spark One ENT is for the party business.
Okay.
And I believe I'm the THEE Katie Baby. I believe is the right one.
Okay, so. But if it's not,
No, it is. It is. I just had a moment, but it is the Katie Baby, and it's a dot in between it. My other one used to be It's Me Katie Baby. That's the one that got hacked. So
not
that one. Not that one. The THEE
the.
Yes.
The one.
The.
She's the only one. She's the only. Well, you guys, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please do not forget to comment below with any questions that you have. Please share. As always, y'all, you can find me anywhere. Coco Laud, COCOLAUD. And if you can't find me underneath Coco Laud, you can find me under Lord Have Mercy. All right, y'all.
Thank you, Coco.
This here for the sexy mamas. You a sexy mama, you lit. Don't let them tell you nothing different. You it. Financially educated, get rich. Sexy mamas come in all different type of flavors. Tell them take a pic. Sexy Mamas Podcast. Sexy Mamas Podcast.